Okay, what's up gamers? Very short devlog here. Basically, I've done nothing over this past week on Cards of the Realm. But I wanted to go through this because there's this saying 10% of the project requires 90% of the effort, and then 90% of the project requires 10% of the effort. I don't necessarily think that's true for what I have so far with crowd control, because there's still lots of stuff. I've barely done anything with this game. But I've done some work with trying to understand how replication works in UE5, and I don't think I've fully understood it, but I think I have a better understanding of it now than I had prior to working on Cards of the Realm, because this video game was like quite literally one of my first ever attempts at doing anything that's online, so I had no clue what replication even was. I didn't know how a game engine worked with trying to replicate concepts between different clients, but I want to show this because I'm relatively proud of what I was able to accomplish. So we hit play on this thing, and we get two different positions. You'll notice the angles of this box means that we're in two different positions here, and you'll see this ball here is moving back and forth between our positions. That took, I'm not joking when I say this, that took like 100 hours to figure out, and you'll see there's a crap ton of debug logs here going, because I had to dissect all this information. It took so long trying to figure out how to get this to work to this extent. This blue bar across the bottom here, that's supposed to be red on one of these and blue on the other one. I don't know why that's not working, but that's probably some rubber duck situation where I just have to explain the code myself better, and I hope that my understanding of replication is still fine. I'm still having a little bit difficulty with understanding how UE5 treats multiple clients connecting, how it distinguishes between them, which is fairly important. But with this, at the very least, I can build a basic gameplay flow. I can do a turn-based system, and I have a basic understanding of how the game needs to work based off of that, which is so very helpful going into this, because trying to think about making anything that was online, having different clients that were trying to communicate with the server, that was always so daunting to me. I was always like, yeah, I'll figure it out way later in the project, but I just want to like program this small little thing in a video game right now. But learning how replication works so early on in the project was so helpful, because A, it means you guys won't have to sit around for like 4 months if you're interested. Hey, I want to see what's going on with this project, while I'm sitting there going, I don't know how to make these things replicate. But it's also helpful because it now allows me to do the 90% of the project with 10% of the effort. Hopefully from this point, replication and learning how clients communicate with the server is my weakest point, and everything after this should be stuff that I'm very familiar with, very comfortable with, and I'm relatively decent / good with. Probably not going to be a lot of visuals with this because I'm recording this like literally 5 hours before I want to upload it, but legitimately this took so long to figure out, and I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to understand things better. I'm working through like the backlog of ideas and concepts I've had for Cards of the Realm. Probably am going to slow down on the speed at which I'm creating these devlogs, because it's been very difficult for me to like get motivation to work on this project. Solely just because like I worked a 9 to 5, so historically I've gone back from my job and then just been like, I want to play Paladins. And also one of the issues I kept running into is I ran into this loop where like, I'll use GIMP for this, hang on. I kept running into this loop where like I need this thing to be finished before I can then go work on get this guy over here, and then I need this guy to be finished before I can then go and work on this guy over here, and then I need this guy finished before I can then go back and work on the initial thing. And so it's just like with the design of cards, I want to work out what all it needs to be on a card by building them out in UE5, and then being able to look at them and go, okay, I need this stat on this card, I need this other stat on this card, so I need to build cards that look like all of this. But in order to do that, I need a 3D model of the cards. In order to build a 3D model for the cards, I need a 2D graphic what the card should look like. And in order to make a 2D graphic for what the card should look like, I need to know what information goes on the card. In order to work out what information needs to go on the card, I need to go into UE5, build out all these different like cards. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Again, very little progress. I've done basically nothing this week. The small amount of stuff I have done for this project have been purely art, which I'm not gonna show because it's not finished. Anyways, yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you for watching. Follow the series if you will. Remember to play Paladins.